after I put down the guitar and kind of like left that part of my life, I became very focused and interested in firearms.
And then as I realized that I was making choices that I didn't want to make anymore, and got out of the music scene as someone who's performing on stage, right? Vocalists are not musicians. Let's just be clear on that right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
We're all in
sorry,
agreement.
go ahead.
And God forbid they help load out.
Well,
Look,
yeah.
I've done plenty of loadouts.
Why are those guys all dressed up in military uniforms and plate carriers and all that kind of stuff? I'm like, that seems a little over the top.
I don't know how to convey it. I don't know how to be like, well, he did this or that, because you're one of the most humble people I know as well. And so I don't know big stories or grandiose things aside from the things that we've done together. And like, you know, how do I convey that? Like, it's got a sharp brain.
Feel like you kind of just did.
Yeah, thank you for all of that, all the kind words, and you know, I think humility plays a big role in being successful.
Yeah.
If you're a know-it-all and you run your mouth and you're not willing to learn, then you're really not going to get very far. You're going to ruffle feathers and you're not going to be able to work with people.
You're going to miss a ton of opportunities.
Yeah, you always want to be the dumbest guy in the room, because I know I'm smart. I'm not the smartest, and I'm not arrogant enough to think I can't learn from people.
Right.
So just be humble, you know. Going back to, you know, what you told that acquaintance of ours.
Yeah.
First of all, I'll say I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. Yes, I you know, one of my biggest hobbies that I picked up after I put down the guitar and kind of like left that part of my life, I became very focused and interested in firearms.
Yeah.
And the term "stone cold killer" is just a figure of speech that I understand that you can.
Capable, not.
I feel like
practice.
I'm a capable person in the hobbies and practices that I enjoy.
Right.
I was a very, very good and more than capable musician, and I would like to think that my training now in the tactical firearms realm has made me a capable and responsible, prepared citizen.
Yeah.
Let's say, right? But again, no one would know. I don't go advertising. We're talking about a gray man earlier. I don't have gun stickers on my truck. I don't wear the cool tactical pants everywhere, or wear a Sig Sauer baseball cap, or there's
you
nothing.
Could be,
right,
sir.
I mean,
he's a gray man alcoholic.
Right.
Is that
the Coors?
Is that a thing?
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
then I'm it.
All right.
I believe it's called closeted alcoholic.
Closeted. Thank you, Norm Macdonald. Nobody?
High praise. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's his joke. So, funny, you went from music to firearms. I did the same thing when I stopped playing music. I went to firearms also.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, and I don't know if I patterned it after my stepfather, because he did that as well. I grew up around guns, and if we'd stayed back east, because I was born in Michigan, you know, everyone goes hunting, right? And I think I went on one hunting trip when I was a little kid. But when we moved to the big city, we moved to Phoenix, and like I said, at 10 years old, I got the bug about, you know, wanting to play music.
Yeah.
So then I'm a city kid where all my interest is about guitars, and then as I got old enough, it's about guitars and girls, and then it's about playing in bands and, you know, doing the local rock star thing, like playing in clubs and like just doing that kind of lifestyle. So there was no, even though I'd go to the shooting range or we'd go out like in the desert shooting bottles or whatever it is, you know, there wasn't the focus on that, though I was comfortable around firearms. Like they weren't scary or anything like that. So it was just, okay, well, cool. Now what's my other interest? And somehow I just got the bug.
Similarly, I grew up in Washington, and it actually in Seattle, in West Seattle. And in the 80s and 90s, it was very, very different then than it is now. Everybody had firearms. Everybody went hunting. It was a very normal thing. People didn't go on vacations. They went camping in the rain. Yeah. That's what we did. And I mean, I remember going to high school. I had a gun rack in my truck with a gun in it. in the parking lot. No one cared. It was a normal thing. And then similarly went to the big city. I went to LA, did music, did the rock star thing, did all that stuff. And then as I realized that I was making choices that I didn't want to make anymore, and got out of the music scene as someone who's performing on stage, got into firearms. Same thing. It was like that just it was a very natural transition. I didn't care forever with the hunting. Firearms never interested me. It was not a taboo. It wasn't that big of a deal. No one really cared. And then when I became a musician and that was the focus, music and girls, makes sense. Drugs and alcohol too, a lot of fun.
All that.
And then when that ran its course, firearms just kind of slipped right in, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, I like firearms. Huh.
Yeah, I wonder if maybe it has to do with the intricate nature of learning systems, right? You have to learn an instrument. It requires skill and dexterity. If you take shooting as a hobby and then go into, I'll use the buzzwords, go into the tactical firearms community of it, right? It becomes a lot more than just going to the range and shooting at a piece of paper in nice weather, right? Like I said, I wonder if why we jump from musician to firearms is because of the nature of learning how to use those systems in an intricate way. Because you could be a guy who just strums a few chords on an acoustic, and along with being the guy who just goes to the range and shoots at paper.
A few rounds.
Instead, I became a very good musician, and now I'm doing my best to consistently be a very good handler of firearms, or how to use the weapon systems and everything that I've chosen to pick up.
Technique and fundamentals are super important to you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I was never really a musician. I was a vocalist, right? But I was.
You're right. Vocalists are not musicians. Let's just be clear on that right now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, we're all good.
We're all in agreement.
Go ahead.
And God forbid they help load out.
Well,
look,
yeah.
I've done plenty of loadouts, but my whole point is like, I wasn't a tactician of an instrument, right? But in the same right, I also grew up in the firearms industry, and so it was kind of inevitable that I would end up there anyway.
That was part of your DNA already.
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, being a little kid outside a machine shop while my dad's learning how to build super high-end firearms, and then I joined the military, and out of all the jobs that the Air Force had, I was like, I just don't want to be a machinist. It's what my dad did. That is infinitely boring to me. And they're like, guess what your job is, buddy? Pew, pew. So that was a thing. And I'm just right now realizing that in 2 days, it'll be my 19-year anniversary of when I went into basic training.
Wow. Well, that's awesome, man.
Good God, that's a long time.
Yeah.
Just processing that. Anyway.
Spring chicken you are.
So
I'd be retiring next year. Sorry, go ahead.
Going back to the gray man thing, and why being proficient and sort of like nondescript, right? Why I think that's important is as we get older, or as I've gotten older, and I think our values change, and you different things become priority. I'm very haphazardly trying to make my way into this point. It's not working out well. What I'm trying to say, I think, is like I reached a point where philosophies in life started to change. Like I was much more liberal when I was younger, and now I'm much more conservative, right?
Yeah.
And I think the firearms thing, another part that kind of piqued my interest was kind of the political climate, and kind of seeing and truthfully believing, back in the day when not to get all political, but the Democrats did a reasonable job of pretending they didn't want to take away our firearms rights. They're like, oh, we just want little helpful, protective, common sense laws. We don't want to take anything away.
Right.
And that was back in, early 2000s, 2010, that decade. In 2008, something in the Obama administration, something that happened. I don't remember specifically, but I was like, nope, I'm going to buy a gun and I'm going to carry it.
Yeah.
I had a pistol up to that point, and then my house got robbed a few years prior, and it was stolen. So I was without a firearm, but I didn't care because I had all my guitars. And then when I was making the transition, something happened. I thought, no, I'm gonna actually carry a gun.
Yeah.
And then I realized, well, if I'm gonna do that, I have to be responsible. I need to know how to use it, right? So I don't want to just be some idiot who's like, oh, I know how to shoot.
Yeah, agreed.
Everybody starts somewhere, but if you're a responsible firearms owner, then you know how important training is.
Right.
And you don't want idiots with guns who don't know what they're doing, So I didn't want to be an idiot, and I sought out, okay, if I want to be a guy that's going to carry a gun, I need to know how to use it and do the thing. So I wanted like personal defense training.
Right.
Right. And that was kind of the extent of my mindset for a little while. I also didn't really know what was possible, because I don't think really back then there was much of an industry for trainers, for people like, Haley Strategic or some of these other.
A lot of those companies weren't.
They didn't exist.
Established or
Right.
didn't exist.
It was really hard to find pistol training.
Right.
Right. And when you did, it was several $100s for a 6-hour, 8-hour class.
Yeah, it's
right?
not anything like it is.
So
now.
who can afford that? So I found a place. It's called Marauders Tactical Training,
Okay.
and that company by name no longer exists. It's transitioned into something else. But so I found Mike's company. I found Marauders, and he offered personal firearms training, like you can take pistol courses, but he also offered a lot more. And when I went out to their facility, I saw sort of what his, intermediate and advanced students that had been there a while do.
Yeah.
And it was much more, I'll just call it like simulated combat training. That's what it looked like to me. Like, and I don't mean combat as in like fighting, but it was like, why are those guys all dressed up in military uniforms and plate carriers and all that kind of stuff? I'm like, that seems a little over the top.
Right.
Right. I just want to know how to shoot my pistol really well, but over time I realized, no, those guys are really cool. What they're doing is pretty cool. And I'm kind of interested in it. So I had a Marine friend of mine. I had him watch some videos, because I was a little bit like, I don't want to pretend to be something I'm not.
Right.
I don't want to go pretend like I'm a soldier. I'm not interested in stolen valor. I'm not interested in puffing up my chest. But what they're doing looks really cool, right? So I asked my Marine friend, I'm like, watch some of these videos. Like, what do you think about this? He's like, that's pretty good. Yeah. I'm like, okay, so you don't think that they're like a bunch of posers just like pretending to be soldiers? Like, he's like, no, I wish all civilians would learn how to, do that. Like, not that everybody needs to like don a plate carrier and a rifle, like, but he's like, I wish every civilian would go and get personal defense training. And those guys that are willing to go that extra mile, that's really cool.
But you've had that like thing about you for a long time, where you're like kind of concerned about, hey, I don't want anybody thinking that I'm, trying to steal valor. And you've asked my opinion on things, being that I'm a veteran as well.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, you don't think anybody's going to associate me with. And I'm like, no, dude. And who cares? Like,
yeah. Well, and I have a lot of respect for the military, so I don't.
Right.
Again, I have this big thing, because once as I get through this story a little bit, you'll see more of my point as far as like, I'm never pretending to be something I'm not. Right. I have a lot of advanced firearms training. Right. I've been privileged to receive a lot of training from highly skilled people. Mm-hmm. I've had the honor of training with, Marine Force Recon. I've had the honor of training with Navy SEALs. Not, but I would never be like, oh, I train with the SEALs like that. Oh my God, no, absolutely not. I have just been fortunate to have a 3-day training event with a couple of guys who owned a training company, and their former career was being a Navy SEAL. You know what I mean? Like, so I went and I was able to attend that course.
I'm sure you've probably heard people talking about peptides. It piqued your interest, you looked into it, but you don't know what source to trust. A lot of this stuff is coming out of China. If you're looking for a good quality peptide that's made in the United States, go to helixpure.com.